Shalom, my name is Werimo Hebrew Woman. I'm here to talk about faith versus faithfulness. I know faith is very, very popular in our current world, and I'd like to just check the word of the Most High and come to an understanding to know what He wants us to have. Does He want us to have faith? Or does it mean that He wants us to have faithfulness? Welcome. So, to all my brothers and sisters in this walk, in this narrow path, Shalom, we are going to uncover a very, very crucial truth, one that has been lost through centuries of misinterpretation. Many have been taught that faith or simply believing is enough for righteousness. But what does the scriptures say? For sure, the scriptures do tell us otherwise. If you look at Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 9, it says, "Therefore, know that the Most High your Elohim, He is Elohim, the faithful Elohim who keeps His covenant and mercy for 1,000 generations with those who love Him and keep His commandments." So for Him to keep a covenant with us, He's looking for something. He's looking for us to obey. And that's what is called faithfulness. In Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 9, doesn't tell us He's looking for us to have faith and believe, for Him to have mercy upon us. No, He's saying for a covenant to last, He's looking for love for Him and keeping of His commandments. So, the Most High is faithful, not just in belief, but in action, and He calls us to be faithful children. As the Father is, He wants us to be faithful. As He is holy, so we should be holy. So, the Hebrew concept of emunah, often translated as faith in the modern translations of the Bible, has been distorted. In truth, emunah means faithfulness, a life of obedience, loyalty, and commitment to the Most High's covenant. So today in this teaching, we're going to uncover the difference between faith and faithfulness, how Christianity misinterpreted faith, or faithfulness to mean faith. So the Hebrew meaning of the word emunah, and then we look at biblical examples of faithfulness leading to righteousness. Also, we're going to look at Yehoshua's emphasis on obedience, not just belief. And then lastly, we're going to look at how we can walk in true faithfulness today. Let's dive in. So, what is the difference between faith and faithfulness? Habakkuk 2 chapter 2 verse 4, says, the just shall live by faith. It's not faith, but it should be faithfulness, because the word is emunah. So in Hebrew, emunah means steadfastness. It means reliability and faithfulness, not just belief. Sirach, which is one of the lost books and ancient writings, says in chapter 32 verse 24, "He that believes in the Most High takes heed to the commandment, and he that trusts in Him shall fare never the worse." True belief, which means faithfulness, is always accompanied by obedience to the Most High's law. He that believes in the Most High takes heed to the commandment. It's not just I believe Him, like the devil does and his demons. They believe He is and He lives and He reigns and He's everything, He's sovereign. They do. Actually, they do know, not just believe. But guess what? There's no covenant between them and the Most High. What does that mean? It means if we are faithful to Him, then we keep His commandments. we keep his instructions, because the law means instructions. So, true belief is accompanied by obedience to the Most High's law, his instructions, his ordinances, his Sabbaths, his feasts, and everything. So many have confused faith, which is belief, with faithfulness, which means loyalty and obedience. Just think about that. So, number 2, how Christianity misinterpreted faithfulness to mean faith. In Matthew chapter 7 verse 21, Yehoshua says, "Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, or Adonai, Adonai, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven." So, those who are going to enter the kingdom are those who are going to do the will of the Most High. If we look at the book of Matthew chapter 23, we see Yehoshua actually rebuking the Pharisees and telling them that they prevent people from entering the kingdom of heaven. So the kingdom of heaven actually is not something we're going to enter in the future. It's actually something we are entering now. How? By obedience and doing the will of the Father in heaven. So the kingdom of heaven is actually the headquarters of the kingdom of the Most High, which is, the kingdom is just sovereignty, or we talk of the ruling of his laws, the reign of his laws. That's the kingdom. So, but so far now it's just headquartered in heaven. But the Father has said in the book of Revelation that he's going to come down and dwell with us. So, not everyone who says by believing in your heart and confessing with your mouth will enter. And remember, people are entering the kingdom. So if you would want to enter the kingdom, Yehoshua says in Matthew 7:21 that you must do the will of the Father. And what is his will? He only spoke to Moses, and he spoke to the prophets, and through his word, Yehoshua, and he told us what to do, the instructions. That is his will. So Yehoshua made it clear that confession alone, Master, Master, is not enough. One must do the will of the Father. And we last time in our previous video, we actually looked at amplified version of Hosea chapter 4 verse 6, which shows us that the will of the Father is actually found in his law, which people have forsaken. So they do not have knowledge, because knowledge is what we get when we study and do the law of the Most High. That is wisdom and knowledge. Okay, the book of Jubilees, which is also one of the ancient texts which are lost now, removed from the scriptures. Chapter 15 verse 9 says, "For the command is not of thee, not of thy fathers, but it is a covenant which the Most High has made between him and us forever." So the covenant requires active obedience, not just belief. It requires active obedience. Because he said when he gave this covenant to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he actually said this is a perpetual covenant, everlasting. So it's active. You can't be outside without obedience and be part of this family or covenant. So Christianity replaced obedience with intellectual faith, contradicting the scriptures, right? So remember, when you see Timothy, in Timothy, they say the scriptures. When you see the New Testament talking about the scriptures, there was no New Testament at that time. So they were quoting the Old Testament, and that is what is known as the scriptures, right? So just be careful that you're not contradicting the scriptures in your interpretation of the word faith or faithfulness. Number 3, Hebrew meaning of faithfulness, which is the word we says emunah. Exodus chapter 17 verse 12 says, "But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and his hands were steady for emunah, until the going down of the sun. Here, emunah is translated as steadiness, consistency, and reliability, not just belief. Can you imagine that same word that shows that the hands of Moses were steady is what it should be translated to faithfulness? That cannot mean faith. Yeah. It means steady. So, Psalm chapter 119 verse 30 says, I have chosen the way of faithfulness, which is emunah. I have set your ordinances before me. Faithfulness means walking in obedience to the Most High's commands. So he says the way of faithfulness is what he does, like setting the ordinances, which are the statutes of the Most High, before him. It is not just putting them ahead of himself. No, he is saying he does them. So that is the way of faithfulness, not the way of faith, because there is action involved. Okay, so the true biblical faith should be actually faithfulness. It is about covenant loyalty, not just mental agreement. It's action, loyalty, right? Number 4, biblical examples of faithfulness leading to righteousness. Genesis chapter 6 verse 9, it says, Noah was a just man, perfect in his generations. Noah walked with Elohim, who is our Abba. Noah was faithful, walking in righteousness. Walking, there's action. Not just literally walking. No, he did what the Father wanted. He was not just believing, he was doing the will of the Father. That's why he was found perfect in his generation. He had not mingled his generation with the fallen angels, because he wanted to live in obedience and purity. So that's why he's found perfect. Also, we look at Genesis chapter 22 verse 2 and 3 says, Take now your son and offer him there as a burnt offering. Take and offer. Abraham's faithfulness was demonstrated through obedience and not just belief. Can you imagine? Abraham did not just hear Abba and then sit there and believe he will be all that, and he will there. He had to obey. He had to take his son and offer him. That is why he was counted faithful before Abba. We have Sirach chapter 44 verse 20 says, Abraham kept the law of the Most High and was in covenant with him. You can't be in covenant with Abba if you do not keep his laws. You can't say you have been grafted into the family of Abba if you're not keeping the laws of the house. Remember, Abba says he only has chosen one person, Jacob, and only Jacob knows his ways. He has revealed his ways only to Jacob, his firstborn. Can you imagine if you had children? And then obviously you would want to raise your children the same way. So by getting your firstborn and starting to raise him in your own laws and ways, I don't imagine that when you get your secondborn, that born, you will give them different laws from the firstborn. No. So Abba will never give the nations, those who call themselves the Gentiles, are different laws from his firstborn child. Sorry. He has to give you the same laws. Right? So, if you say that you have been crafted into the family of the Most High, you are a child of Abraham, Yehoshua actually told Jews who are actually from the bloodline of Abraham that if you are the children of Abraham, you have to do the deeds of Abraham. Abraham obeyed the laws. So if you are calling yourself a child of the Most High and you don't do the deeds of Abraham, you have children, you don't circumcise them at the right time, on the 8th day for males, and you're calling yourself a child and a descendant of Abraham, surely you must do the deeds of Abraham. He obeyed the laws of the Most High. You have to start obeying now that you have known the truth. Okay, So those who were called righteous, all of them that we admire in our lifetimes today, we think of, for example, Noah, we think of Job, we think of Abraham, we think of Jacob, we think of Isaac. All of these were called, who were called righteous, were always those who obeyed the Most High. And those who disobeyed, like Nimrod, they're not called righteous. So how comes we think we are going to be called righteous by just sitting there and believing? It's not going to happen. That is not the way of the Most High. He wants us to obey the words of his mouth that we may live. Because according to Matthew chapter 4 verse 4, when Yehoshua was talking to the evil one, he actually said to him that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of the Most High. So we need to just go out there and research which words the Most High spoke by his own mouth. That is only what gives us eternal life. Sometimes he would speak via the mouths of the prophets, his prophets, not everyone. And he has given us ways to test his prophets so that we would not say, okay, because someone says, that saith the Lord, that says Abba, that we know, okay, he's from Abba. No, we have to test. If he says, that says Abba, and then he leads you away from his laws, then you know he's a false prophet. So for us to live, we need actually to know his word, whatever he spoke. So number 5, Yehoshua's emphasis on obedience, not just believe. So John 14 verse 15, we know this verse and we love it. If you love me, keep my commandments. So love is like the way we say believe. Love is not just by your mind. It's action. If you love me, keep my commandments. And guess what? Yehoshua did not come and give his own commandments. Actually, he said, whatever I speak is what the Father tells me. So he was only speaking what the Father had just spoken to Moses some years ago. It was nothing new. He said everything that he spoke, it was his Father doing the works. So guess what? He spoke the law. And he is that law. Right? Because he's the word of the Father. Right? So the Father spoke law. So the Father spoke Yehoshua, who we call Jesus in our lifetime. Okay. So Yehoshua did not teach belief without obedience. Never. And maybe if he did, I don't know if someone can comment on this comment section where he taught that. Even one instance. If you have such, I'd love you to share. So Matthew chapter 24 verse 13 says, he who endures to the end shall be saved. Faithfulness, depicted by enduring obedience, is required for salvation. It's not just believing, you need to endure, which is steadfastness. Yeah? Okay. Then only the faithful will be rewarded in the end. Yeah? Those who endure. We can look at 2nd Baruch chapter 51 verse 7 says, for they shall see the world which is now invisible to them, and they shall see a time which is now hidden from them. Those who are faithful, those who endure. Okay, Yehoshua never taught a faith separated from works. Only Christianity does that. And guess what? Even his brothers, Jude and James, they really defended the teaching, the knowledge, the truth about works. And they fought faith and grace alone. They said you have to do the works, right? If you can go through the book of James and Jude, they speak about that, and they are believed to be the brothers of Yehoshua. Number 6, walking in the faithfulness today, right? Revelation chapter 14 verse 12 says, here is the patience of the saints. Here are those who keep the commandments of our Elohim and the faith. Again, this word is misinterpreted as faith, but it should be faithfulness or testimony, his teachings of Yehoshua. So, here is the patience of the saints. Here are those who keep the commandments. Guess what? This is in Revelation. This is not in Leviticus. So, John is telling us those who keep the commandments, including keep Sabbath, the fourth commandment. And Sabbath is on Saturday and means no work. These are those who keep these commandments from Abba and the faithfulness, the teachings of Yehoshua. Those are the saints. So don't call yourself a saint, a child of the Most High. I love Jesus. Don't stop that. Loving him is keeping his commandments. Being a child of the Most High is being Israel, because only Israel knows the way, and you have to do like Israel to actually inherit the earth, because all the earth was inherited to Israel. When Jacob was blessing his sons, he actually blessed them to inherit the whole earth. So you have nothing. So if you're a Gentile and you need inheritance in the coming kingdom, which is this same earth which will be renewed by obedience to become the Eden that we had, if you want to be part of it, if you want an inheritance, you will need to obey the laws that were given to Jacob and his children. Otherwise, you will be a Gentile and you will not be allowed in that kingdom. That's why Yah says, the same law, one law shall be for the Gentiles and the Israelites. One law shall be for you and the Gentile among you. So here in this earth, as it is being renewed into the coming kingdom, or as it is being renewed into the new earth, obviously you are seated somewhere and you are living in someone else's land. This land belongs to Israel. So if you want not to be removed from this land, you need to obey the laws that says, one law shall be for the Gentile and the Israelite. One law shall be for you and the Gentile among you. So we are here. If you're a Gentile, for me, I am not. I'm an Israelite. So if you consider yourself a Gentile, Yah said, the Most High Abba said, one law shall be for you and us Israelites. And guess what? Israel is someone who keeps the laws of the Most High. Even though for us, we know that we have come from King David, from that lineage through Solomon and Menelik. But those people who know and call themselves Gentiles, get it today. For you to inherit this land, the just, the meek shall inherit the land and dwell in it forever. You actually need to keep the same law, because the whole earth belongs to Israel. So, and I'm not talking about geographical Israel that you know from your maps. I'm talking about the children of the Most High that are scattered all over the world. And they're only children because they obey him. So if you start obeying today, you become Israel. And you get an inheritance, because only sons get inheritance. And if you want to read more about being a child of the Most High, being Israel, and being counted in the mountain of the Most High, is actually, you can look at Isaiah chapter 56. All of it. And one of the ways you need to start doing is actually keeping Sabbath. And the laws. All of them. All of them. Okay. So, the righteous both keep the commandments and follow the teachings of Yehoshua by actions. Again, Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 13 says, fear Elohim, our Elohim who is the Most High, and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Those who say that the law is a curse, the commandments were abolished. Guess what? The whole duty of man is to keep those laws that you think were abolished. So how can it be my whole duty to keep the laws and they were abolished? Guess what? Something is wrong. It means that these laws were not abolished. If my whole duty is to keep the laws, then they are there. And that's why Yehoshua said in Matthew chapter 5 verse 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the Pharisees, because for them they didn't do actions. Yehoshua said in Matthew 23 from verse 1, we have to exceed the Pharisees by actions of obeying the law. He says you will not see the kingdom, you will not enter. And he says we should listen to the Pharisees. He says we should listen and do what they teach because they sit on the seat of Moses. So Moses is not the issue. The issue is them not doing what Moses said. So I was saying the law stands because Yehoshua said, this, even one jot of this law cannot pass away. Till, if you are seeing till heaven and earth pass away, which has never passed and will never do, because we know this earth is not going to pass away, it will be recreated into the new earth through obedience. Because the Most High says it is those things, the tears, that will be removed. And this earth will be cleansed through obedience. So it doesn't mean the earth will end. It is the evils, the lawlessness, disobedience, all those evil things that will be removed. And the earth will be back to Eden. Guess what? We said last time that Israel was promised milk and honey, but they were told to destroy all the animals, everything. It means there was no milk and honey waiting for them or hanging there. But they were told it will happen if they obey what Abba was instructing them. So obedience is what recreates. Obedience is what gives us Canaan or Eden. So we need to obey what he gave to Moses, his prophets, and Yehoshua, right? Okay, so faithfulness is the duty, is the core duty of man. It is not belief. It is faithfulness. It is the duty of man to obey. Jubilees chapter 1 verse 14, says, and they will not be reckoned among the nations, for the people of the Most High is set apart. The faithful are those who, remain obedient to the Most High's law. So those who are set apart, those who do according to the will of the Most High, these remain obedient to him. These are called the faithful. Because they are faithful, they don't have faith. They are faithful. Okay, so true faith, or faithfulness in short, requires action, obeying the Most High's commands and walking his righteousness. Once you start obeying him, that's when you are counted as righteous. So in conclusion, we must return to true faithfulness. We must return to the narrow path, the path of the Most High. So the wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 verse 9 says, they that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, which we know that the truth is his law, which is, we could look at Psalm 119 verse 142. And such as he faithful in love shall abide with him. So the Most High is always faithful. Will you be faithful to him? So those who are faithful in love, in action, shall abide with him in the new earth. He says he will come and dwell with us. The prayer of Yehoshua that he taught us, he said, your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. But that kingdom only comes after we set apart his name. And his name is what he stands for. It's his laws, his ordinances, his statutes, his commands. When we hallow his name. Okay? So, Luke chapter 6 verse 46. It says, but why do you call me master, master, and do not do the things which I say? Why do you call me Adonai, Adonai, but you do not do the things that I say? I have said in Matthew 23 verse 1, listen to the Pharisees, but you say they were self-righteous. But I have said, listen to them. So why do you call me master, master? And you actually ignore me, yet I am the law of the Most High. Because the book of John chapter 5 verse 44 says, I am what Moses wrote. Moses wrote the law, we know that. I am what Moses wrote. If you can't believe and do what Moses actually wrote, how can you believe me? How can you follow me? That's what Yehoshua is asking. Yehoshua demands obedience, not just words. Faithfulness is obedience, loyalty, and steadfastness to the Most High's covenant. Return to true faith. Cancel that. Return to faithfulness. Be faithful as He is faithful. Thank you for tuning in to our channel and for your subscription. Always remember that as you subscribe, you help us to be suggested to more people who come to YouTube so that they may know the truth. And we always know that the truth will set us free from bondage, from Babylon. Thank you, and I hope we all come out of Babylon as we obey the laws of the Most High. Shalom, shalom, shalom.